on my heart is the new piece of armor that you're giving us and that you gave me. And I'm calling that the helmet of proactivity, the helmet of proactivity. And I am very present to, as I listen to that recording audio we just heard, and I know that's part of your repertoire, my gratitude for what you're creating here and not taking the talent hotbed that is present for granted. And I'm grateful for your evolution from, the transitions you've had in your life and the way you're showing up now, fearlessly, taking on the road that has not been traveled and really creating superheroes. And I'm honored to be on that list. I'm honored to be on the Avengers, and I'm honored to have this movement here, co-creating leaders, leading leaders to make the world a greater place.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Appreciate it enormously. I'd love if we could have for ready to go in about 8 minutes or so, Diana and Anil unmuted, and Rob Gill. Diana, Anil, Rob Gill, if you guys are out there, great. If not, fine. And we don't need that for about 8 minutes or so. What I want to lean into right now is that I realize what we are now. And you're like, you're just realizing that now? And the answer is yes, I am. And we have a lot of language for things, but language is the container for how all things are created. It's what creates nations. It's what creates teams. It's what creates everything. We have words for it in language. We all know what a dog is. We all know what the ocean is, what a fish is, or a dolphin. We have understanding of things through language. And what this ecosystem is, and it is an ecosystem. It's a living, breathing, dynamic thing. It is a talent hotbed, though. This ecosystem is a talent hotbed. And long before I had that container for language, just like long before I had a container for language for the formula, that was behind me. And that's the 1980 Miracle on Ice jersey. My Uncle Jimmy's skis were up there. And my Uncle Jimmy went back to college later in life when people told him he couldn't, and became one of the most prominent retina surgeons and most financially successful people you could ever imagine. And this is not coming from a blind man, nothing that they had, as I've referred to as my mom, in their growing up years, had nothing financially. My Uncle Jimmy bought Jenny Craig, the Diet Queen back in the day, her house for cash in Saddle River. And his standard of mastery, of creating his own talent hotbed, of coming from the worst medical school in the country and ending up at the #1 residency program, turning down Harvard and Johns Hopkins, because not of his academics from medical school, let's be clear so we don't get confused. He was a B student in medical school. He recreated the game. So experientially, breakthrough-wise, and the power of the stage and the microphone is what got him there. He created an innovative breakthrough through the incredible deep practice in dissecting eyeballs in a summer job, and ended up being invited to all of these places because of the breakthroughs he made, not because he was able to study and memorize things, because he implemented and innovated and created things and then told it to people on a stage and a microphone, which led him to be recruited by every one of the top residency programs in America, coming from one of the worst medical schools in the country because he had gone back later in life. It's what Muhammad Ali did to become Muhammad Ali. All of it is talent hotbed. So what we're going to do this morning is lean in. And team, if we could read this at least a 1 tick up accelerator rate, because the reader of the talent code reads slowly, and this is going to be about an 8-minute clip. Get ready to take out your notes and notebook, because in this section, we're going to understand what Unblinded is, that it's a talent hotbed. That's what you're part of. You're part of a group. You have a responsibility to the group. That's what the commitment, the agreement of being here is. And we're climbing a mountaintop. And there's dangers and there's things. And on top of that mountain that we're climbing, on top of that mountain is being a leader that can cause leadership, because you have cause over your money, time, and magic at a masterful level, and you could do the same for other people. Brittany listened to April because April had access to causing her money, time, and magic. When you can cause the acceleration and co-create acceleration in people's money, time, and magic, when you're a source for that, people listen to you and talk to you, no matter who they are, where they are, what they are. You witnessed it last night. You witnessed it in the conversations about Brittany and how she looked to April, and Mike Tyson with Anil. When you could cause acceleration in people's money, and or their time and or their magic, you have leadership. When it's all three, it is immense leadership, which of course comes with immense responsibility, but let's lean in and listen to the talent code and the science of what it is and how it is formed. Team, let's roll it and let's take it up one notch in the speed of reading. Thank you.
1. You belong to a group. 2. Your group is together in a strange and dangerous new world. 3. That new world is shaped like a mountain, with the paradise of college at the top. These three signals might seem unique, but in fact they're identical to the primal cues that any young Brazilian soccer player or Russian tennis player might receive if you replace the word college with the words being Ronaldinho, Kurnikova. Bereft of such naturally occurring aspirational figures, KIPP does the next best thing. It creates its own Sao Paulo, a signal-rich world so seamless that it creates new patterns of motivation and behavior. Hence, KIPP's Spielbergian insistence on timing, continuity, and plot. Like Frank Curiel Field in Curaçao, KIPP's physical environs radiate signals. Like a squadron of Tom Sawyers, KIPP's teachers fire cues rapidly and clearly. As Feinberg likes to say, everything is everything. This sounds like New Age palaver, but what he's really talking about is KIPP's insistence on environmental coherency, the way every element of this world, from the painted stripes on the floor to the eyes of the teacher to the angle with which students carry their binders, sends clear, constant signals of belonging and identity. You are at KIPP. You are a KIPPster. Instead of ready, set, go, they say ready, set, KIPP. Students address each other as teammates. KIPP teachers refer to this process only half-jokingly as KIPPnosis. I remember when I came to visit, said Michael Mann, who teaches social studies, I thought it was way extreme. I thought it was ridiculous. I mean, who cares how they hold their binder? But I came to see that attention to detail is a big part of what makes someone academically successful. The rules are ways of getting them to practice being detailed and precise, and that's not something a lot of them have had any experience with. KIPP teachers are not alone in their belief in this tactic. In 2005, psychologists Martin Seligman and Angela Duckworth studied several parameters of 164 eighth graders, including IQ, along with 5 tests that measured self-discipline. It turned out that self-discipline was twice as accurate as IQ in predicting the students' grade point average. For every year of their lives up to now, the students have been acting in certain ways, Feinberg said. The culture is an incredibly strong force, and the only way to reach them is to change the way they see themselves. It seems intense to somebody visiting, but that's what it takes. One of the ways KIPP creates that change is through a technique it calls stopping the school. This is not fanciful language. When someone violates a significant rule, classes screech to a halt, and teachers and students hold a meeting to discuss what just happened and how to fix it. A few weeks before I visited, the school had stopped because a 6th grader had teased another student, calling her an elephant. The previous stop had happened when a student rolled his eyes at a teacher. By most reasoning, stopping the school when a student teases or rolls their eyes is a gigantic waste of time. And yet it works. KIPP, like a giant link trainer, creates an environment for deep practicing good behavior. Stopping the school for an eye roll is not inefficient. On the contrary, KIPP has found that it's the most efficient way to establish group priorities, locate errors, and build the behavioral circuits that KIPP desires. As you can tell, KIPP's most important signal, its version of an Andrew Jones home run, is college. Or, as it's invariably voiced at KIPP, college. College is the spiritus sancti that is invoked hundreds of times each day, not so much as a place as a glowing ideal. Each homeroom is named after the college the teacher attended. Math classes are in Berkeley, social studies in USC, special education at Cornell Graduate School. KIPP teachers are skilled at slipping references to college into conversation, always with the presumption that all the students are destined for those golden shores. While I visited a social studies class, one student turned in her homework without her name on it. Her teacher's response was to stop the class. You know how many papers your college professor is going to get? The teacher asked, radiating incredulity. You think he's going to take the time to figure out it's yours? Think about that. As English teacher Leslie Eichler said, we say college as often as people in other schools say, Even the lettering above the classroom mirrors inquires, where will you go to college? KIPP students start visiting colleges as soon as they're enrolled. KIPP Heartwood's 5th graders go to California schools like USC, Stanford, and UCLA, while 7th graders fly to the East Coast to walk the campuses of Yale, Columbia, and Brown, among others. While there, they meet with KIPP alumni who tell of their own journeys. Right now, college is just a vague idea to them, Ali tells me later, gesturing at the new fifth graders. But by the end of the fifth grade, after they make a visit, we overhear them talking about it among themselves, saying things like, "Yeah, I like Berkeley, but I think I'm more of a Cal Poly person." That's when we know it's clicking. When they get to KIPP, their lives are like a single dot on a map. You can't do anything with a dot, Feinberg said. But when they connect that dot to another dot, to a college somewhere, then you get a connection. When they get back from those trips, they carry themselves differently. This simple, powerful idea is made real in Lolita Jackson's math class. Jackson, who's in her late 50s, is a small woman who wears gigantic earrings and radiates galvanic discipline and enthusiasm. She spent the first 20 years of her career working in the local public school system, increasingly frustrated by its limitations. When Kip Hartwood came along, however, she joined up and quickly rose to become one of its most effective teachers, as well as its assistant principal. Ali regards Jackson's skills as near magical. Ms. Jackson does things that nobody else can do, Ali says simply. For instance, each year after orientation week is finished, Jackson begins her first math class by clicking off the lights and asking students to close their eyes. She slips a Star Wars soundtrack into the CD player and turns it up. As the triumphal music surges, Jackson strides around the room as if she were the captain of a rocket ship on countdown. "You buckled up, Kipsters?" she asks. "You ready? You strapped in good and tight? Because this is going to be a bumpy ride. It's going to be tough, and it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be great, because we are going to work and learn some math, and we are going to college." The kids sit quietly, the music resounding in their heads. "College," Jackson repeats, tasting the word. "Do you want to know the difference between a good life and a hard life? You want to know the difference between having the knowledge and power to get the things you want and not having that knowledge? Fasten your seatbelts, because that's where you are going, starting right now." Like Spartak, Meadowmount, and the other talent hotbeds, KIPP Hartwood is a bastion of deep practice. Jackson and her colleagues constantly remind KIPP students that their brains are muscles. The more they work them, the smarter they will get, and there's plenty of work to do. 2 hours of homework a night is standard. Worksheets number in the hundreds. The day is filled with stretches of intense, silent work. As Feinberg said, softer methods might work in other schools, but we literally don't have any hours to waste, much less days or weeks. Our kids arrive way behind. We need to get them up to speed and ahead. It's like the fourth quarter of a football game. We're down by a touchdown, and we've got to get downfield and score now. The touchdowns are happening. In 2007, KIPP Hartwood students ranked in the top 3% of California public schools, according to the state's standardized testing and reporting program. What's striking in the end, however, is not how hard KIPP students work, but rather how swiftly and completely they take on the KIPP identity that provides the fuel for that hard work. On both of my visits, I was approached by KIPP students who wanted to know how I was doing, if there was anything they might do for me, and of course, where I went to college. Some of these exchanges felt a bit scripted, the overly firm handshakes, the fervently agreeable nodding, the geisha-level politeness, but beneath the artifice vibrated the sincere effort of someone stretching toward a new persona. "I like it here a lot," said Daniel Magana, a crew-cut 6th grader. "There's no special treatment for anybody. At my old school, they let me slide. I could do 5 out of 10 things and nobody cared. Here I do 10 out of 10. Daniel, whose father is a construction worker, plans to be the first member of his family to attend college. He's not so sure which college yet. He's going to consider the California system. It's so much cheaper, you know. And he needs a pretty big school, one that offers a double major in his desired fields of laser surgery and creative writing. So he's thinking Berkeley. But that could change, he said sagely. We'll see. When I asked Daniel to tell me what he was like back before he enrolled in KIPP, he looked gravely to the tile floor as if peering into an ancient archaeological dig. "Different," he said finally. "I think I didn't really like school. It was boring. At my old school, I used 25% of my brain, but here I use 100%. Ancient history didn't hold his interest long, however, and soon Daniel raced off on new tangents, inquiring about the ages of my kids and recommending books for them, asking about my travels, and then checking the clock and saying, "Sorry, nice talking with you, but he'd better get to English class." Handshake. Goodbye, and I'm left standing with a question. Who exactly is this kid? How much of Daniel is Daniel, and how much is a result of his experience at KIPP? There's no way to say whether Daniel Magana would have been an ambitious, considerate, high-achieving kid had he not attended KIPP. Perhaps he would have been the same, or perhaps once he graduates from KIPP, he'll revert to old patterns. But as I watch him disappear into the crowd, I'm struck by how KIPP alters our instinctive notion of character. Usually, we think of character as deep and unchanging, an innate quality that flows outward, showing itself through behavior. Kip shows that character might be more like a skill, ignited by certain signals and honed through deep practice. Seen this way, Kip stands on a foundation of myelin. Every time a Kip student imagines himself in college, a surge of energy is created, not unlike that created in South Korea when girls imagine themselves to be Saeri Pak. Every time a Kip student forces himself to obey one of these persnickety rules, a circuit is fired, insulated, and strengthened. Impulse control, after all, is a circuit like any other. Every time the entire school screeches to a halt to fix misbehavior, skills are being built as surely as they were when Clarissa did her start-stop attack on Golden Wedding. No wonder Daniel Magana is such a polite, well-disciplined young man. He has been ignited to deep practice those qualities. What we do here is like lighting a switch, Ali said. It's extremely deliberate. It's not random. There's no chance involved. You have to stand behind what you do to make sure every single detail is pushing the same way. Then it clicks. The kids get it. And when it starts, the rest of them get it too. It's contagious.
All right, guys. So, in case, actually, I intentionally did something. So I want you to put in the chat if there was some level of distraction that you held for wondering what KIP was. I'm not asking you if you were wondering what KIP was. Put a Y if yes and if no to this question. Not asking if you were wondering at the beginning what KIP was, but if you were missing the points of what was being instructed on and taught through the talent code because you were thinking, well, I don't know what KIP is. I don't know. What's KIP? How can I understand this without knowing what KIP is? Because that fundamental distinction is critical to be present to and aware of. If something is not orderly and fit into your context, does it distract you from learning and applying things? Does it stop you? Does it cause your resistance in learning and integration? So if you were distracted meaningfully and you don't know what the three, well, I'm not saying you should have memorized already, but if you were having a hard time even hearing what the three elements of deep practice and a talent hotbed were, the three parts of a talent hotbed. Like, do you remember hearing what they were? Not remembering all three, but just even hearing it. Do you remember hearing things about identity? Do you remember the name Andrew Jones being said? Did that distract you? Who's Andrew Jones? What does Andrew Jones have to do with anything? Versus integrating the ideas on a macro level, that a talent hotbed is a container and there's certain fundamental principles necessary to make it function and work. And all KIP was a demonstrable example. And to tell you what it was, KIP is an inner city school, an inner city dynamic with massive challenges academically in that area. And what the talent code speaks into are the dynamics of how programs wanted to reach inner city schools and were failing miserably. And then there were programs that were created, like the program at KIP, that became dramatically uniquely successful. To have an inner city school functioning in the top 3% of California public schools, and that includes all in the most affluent of areas, is mind-numbing and absolutely scientifically predictable when you do not delete, dilute, distort, and all they did is integrate the formula in a context where the formula stuck. So what's present for me is that what we're doing in Unblinded, and we're going to lean more into this tonight, is we are a talent hotbed. And as we evolve, there's going to be standards and application to get into certain portions of the talent hotbed. And what might be coming up for you, right? What might be coming up for you is the concept of individuality. Well, people can remain wildly individualistic in their approach to their life. What they can't do, though, is reframe how the talent hotbed functions. You could be a New York Yankee and be incredible, but there's certain principles that you adhere to. It's why the Yankees, and I'm a Met fan, but why the Yankees have won so much more than the Mets. They've adhered to a certain standard. It's why John Wooden won so much more at UCLA, why Herb Brooks won 1980 Miracle on Ice, why Angelo Dundee trained people like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard to unprecedented levels of success in like micro distinctions between Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, and some of their top opponents. For Sugar Ray Leonard, people like Thomas Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, for Ali, people like Norton, Frazier, and of course, George Foreman, Ken, who was it? Ken Norton, George Foreman, and Joe Frazier were enormously talented fighters, very much like Muhammad Ali. But at the end of the day, Muhammad Ali is the iconic legend, and those guys were just other great heavyweight fighters. So we are a talent hotbed. We are not that. Adam Gugino, really quickly, you create a talent hotbed at Momentum. You created a talent hotbed of standards, of protocols, of procedures, perfectly imperfect talent hotbed, as every talent hotbed, including Kip, is perfectly imperfect. But without the talent hotbed you created, brother, you don't reach a $750 million level, starting on folding chairs and desks with a group of people that certainly were not uniquely talented sales folks. So really quickly, Adam, what's present for you in your heart around the concept of talent hotbed?
What's present for me is the identity of the KIPP students. Just now that you bring it up to, bring it into thinking about Momentum, was that we all shared the identity that we were the number one fastest growing solar company in the country. That if you got every other solar company or employee from other companies in the same industry knew that they wanted to be at Momentum because of the culture and the identity of people that were there. I feel like that's what happened with the KIPP students. And I loved hearing character is a skill through deep practice. That to me just really resonated as well.
Absolutely, brother. And so quickly, why Columbia is not, and we had this distinction this morning with Fernando, and we're still going to jump in really quickly with Diana, Rob, and or Neil, depending on who's here. So just hang tight for that. And
they're all here, by the way.
Awesome. Two other quick things. So one, so I said, Fernando, what is a talent hotbed? Do you remember your first answer? Now watch this. I want you to get this distinction. What did you say hotbed wasn't your first answer?
My first answer was a place where talented people gather.
Yes. A place where talented people gather. Fernando, were the KIPP students talented people coming in?
No.
So what is a talent hotbed?
A talent hotbed is a place where talent is created.
Yeah. We are a talent hotbed. And you have choices, of course, to be here or not be here, to be here however the way you want, provided it doesn't, violate Unblinded standards, which we're about to more up-leveled and meaningful ones, even than we have. I will share this with you. If you do not identify yourself as part of this group of Unblinded, and you do not see yourself as being part of a group committed to having control over your money, time, and magic of your life and business, you will get a fraction of the results. And the more you stand individualistically questioning the process, that would be like a KIPP student standing on the sideline saying, well, why do we have to do it this way? And why do they make us carry our binders that way? And how come they do this? Those students don't belong at KIPP, and they would never receive, more importantly than belonging or not, more importantly, they'd never receive the benefits. And as a massive live life on my own terms, F you, I don't do what you tell me person, I'll say it one more time. As a massive, I live life on my terms, F you, I don't do what you tell me. I live that way, I realized this morning, until I meet somebody I know can teach me. And then I do everything they say to do. So when I went to Columbia, you know what they wanted to teach me to do? Just be a free thinker, which is pretty cool because my free thinking led me to things. But that's not a talent hotbed. That's a place where talent gathers. Harvard is a place where talent gathers. They're not making the world a greater place because they're not committed to it. They're committed to individualized, challenge the establishment, counter culture thinking. I went there. I know this. I played against all these teams. I realized that this morning. They were causing so much less than could be caused. Now, why are people, generally successful from Harvard and Columbia? Because the most talented, smart people go there and they hang out with other super smart, talented people and they help each other through proximity. It's amazing the results that happen by going to those schools for a lot of people, but they're not a fraction of what they can be because there is no identity formed in terms of talent hotbedness. Instead, it's designed to create your own individualized life and challenge the establishment is essentially the fundamental organizing principle of those institutions. And that is why they're not causing a fraction of what they can cause. But then I meet somebody like Coach Ennis, Coach Woods, Coach Slazak, and I realize that if I want what's at the mountaintop, which is to be part of a championship team and learn things and push myself, I must do what these people did, like Siri Lindley did with her coach in Switzerland, who sounds like a straight up lunatic and was, but made her into a world champion, and they co-created that, right? Now, similarly, when I found the work of Tony Robbins, I said, I want to live life like he does. The ability to inspire, create, change, disrupt, accelerate, be a cause over my life. I want that. I will do what that dude tells me. So before I ever met him, saw him in a room, I was reading his books. I was integrating what he said to do through his tapes. And the only reason I integrated Jay Abraham and How to Make a Fortune from Public Speaking and Jerry Spence is because Tony Robbins told me to. And I realized that this morning. I'm like, oh my God. So I became a part of his talent hotbed. And when most other people are like, make your move, go to an event, have fun. No, I heard him when he said model, and I did whatever he said to do. I did the vast, like at a super high level, what he said to do. And then I enjoy going to his events later as a supplement. It was like, boom. So we are a talent hotbed. Now, quickly, we're going to go through, actually, let's just drop it on this. Bella Verita is not here this morning. Bella's having surgery today. So let's give all thoughts and prayers to Bella. She has to have surgery. She's going to be going under general anesthesia. So all love, care, support, prayers for Bella as she goes through that today. Let's drop some support to Bella in the Elite chat. Let's also in Elite chat here, also shoot her some texts, give her some love. It's not nothing to go under general anesthesia, and it's a lengthy procedure actually. So all the love and prayers in the world to Bella. Adam Gugino, quickly, last night, what was your takeaway from last night?
My takeaway was it was extraordinary. What really resonated was every relationship you mentioned, every relationship that you create is through shared experience. And last night's shared experience of that group was just remarkable. I woke up to that this morning.
Yeah. And for everybody, in case you're like, okay, so why are we repeating this to make us like realize that you're smart, Sean, or Unblinded is great? No, I'm training you on how to integrate, because what you're causing in the world is 100 people to cause leadership in 100 people that see their leadership in your leadership. That's one of your outcomes for 2021 as a part of Unblinded. One of your outcomes is to cause leadership in 100 people that see their leadership in you. 100 people. First it's 10, and causing the leadership in that 10 for another 10. 100 people in 2021. I think we've heard this a few months ago in 10 by 10s. Whoever's running a 10 by 10, I love all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your care. Thank you for integration. They are all running wildly suboptimally. We're going to be disrupting and reframing that. And thank you for your effort, for your intention. Positive things have come out of those 10 by 10s. They are so far meaningfully and dramatically far away from what was originally presented by me. We've spent so much more time in other areas. We're now rounding back to it, because one of your outcomes this year is obviously, it's to pull the 7 levers. You pull the 7 levers by causing the leadership in 100. And by the way, in causing that leadership 100 people, and the results will be mind numbing. Everybody will have the ability to be a liquid multimillionaire within 5 years, easily, if you're not already. 5 years easily, if you achieve that outcome of causing that leadership of 100 people, easily and simply, and much, much more. But I want to make a very understated promise, dramatically, and those numbers can absolutely be accelerated, provided you follow the formula, of course. So that's what is present. Anything else was present for you last night, Adam Gugino? And then we're going to roll into that with Diana, then Anil, then Rob Gill, and take it home. So,
I'll say this: the variance of energies was incredible, and Mr. Anil Gupta had me in tears of laughter. The female power had me in tears of just heart-centered joy. I mean, it was across the board, every emotion. In last night, and just the formula was just the flow of the entire speaking engagement was the 0.99999 higher than anything I've ever been a part of.
and let's experience the power of the formula at play. Ecosystem merging, speaking, we're all at play on 17 different levels, from how we got to Necker, what happened on Necker, how we got to last night's call. Footnote, April is a wildly successful entrepreneur with the most incredible reach possible. At the conclusion of the call, which we'll play some of those recordings tonight, she was sharing, well, yeah, like, let's introduce you to Simon Sinek. What can I do? April can buy a plane for her husband, could do any of the things that she wants to do in the world within some reason. And this is a person I didn't even know well on Necker because of how busy she was leading, how busy I was and still running dynamics for Unblinded and everything we're doing from the island. And last night became so incredibly open and vulnerable in sharing her challenges and in an intervention. Like, let's think about the power of the formula and ask yourself the question, do you think April sees her leadership in me or sees leadership for her in me? Just ponder that question, how rapidly that happened. Ponder that question. So Diana, thank you for coming on. You are causing leadership here. You are present to myelin. You are present to the reshaping of behavior and accelerated learning. We've had these conversations. Thank you for that. What is present for you based upon last night? What did you experience and take away from last night?
Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for having me here. I loved being part of the conversation last night because it felt like we were all present together. It really felt like we were in a large room, like we've been an LBI, where there was some vulnerability present and people sharing their stories and from their heart. And it always amazes me when I see somebody that has made it, right? From the looks from outside, that person has made it. It bought the island, it's impacting millions. And you see the little girl, right? You see the person inside the person that had to overcome struggle, that didn't let the environment determine who they were gonna be. They shifted their environment and they found their talent hotbed and they created more for more people. So as I reflect on last night and I put it together with what we're just learning from the talent code, and by the way, what an amazing way to start our day with this learning and then having the chance to integrate this throughout the day. We nurture talent in situations like yesterday. You created a hotbed for talent to share two beautiful models that we can see now in front of us, April and Brittany. We have the ability to replicate what they did, to inspire others, right? One took the other under the wing, and the other one said, I'm gonna model you. I'm gonna say yes, though. Heck, she was a punk rock star, but she said, yeah, right? So it takes the ability to accept the disruption to the familiar, the normal, what we're seeing probably in our parents, in the people that is around us, that stay small, don't make too much noise, don't break the rules. Okay, accept the disruption. And then as you maintain that uniqueness of who you are, integrate the qualities that you see in the person that you want to model. Because obviously, Brittany saw something in April that she wanted to emulate. It wasn't her at that moment. She was 17, she was living in a car. And she wanted to inspire people, she knew it. So she had to let go of something that was normal for her, let that disruption take hold, and then say, okay, I want to model this. And she probably did a lot of that subconsciously.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
it wasn't intentional.
And it begins with, so thank you for that great share, Diana. And you need not thank me for your being here, because this is your space, right? You're a leader in this talent hotbed, right? You're here. This is your space too. So thank you for being here, and thank you for causing leadership here, number one. Number two, they each changed their identity. April, if you heard her last night, said, I decide I'm going to be the best in the world at this. I decide I'm going to be the best in the world at this. And she trained and she taught and she trained and she taught and she acted, but she changed her identity first. Brittany said, you know what? I'm not going to be a missionary. I could cause more impact in a different way. I'm going to become a real estate beast, leader, accelerant. And all of a sudden at 23, she decided, I'm going to be the best in this. I have to work 10 times harder because I'm a woman. I'm 23 years old, was sabotaged, attacked, had every crazy thing happen. They both changed their identity. That's where it started, changing their identity. And that's also in that section of 10 Minutes of Talent Code we just listened to. Anil Gupta, thank you, brother. You are a source for that. You are a remarkable genius And you are perfectly imperfect, as am I, as is everybody here on your journey as well. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your vulnerability in the areas you're rising and most, seeing your breakthroughs and accelerations in mastery. Thank you for causing them in me. And Anil, what's present for you, brother?
I was present to the truth of who you are, Sean, and I told you who you were privately. You have no idea what Brittany and April have gone through. No idea. They just skimmed the top of it. And you don't know the stuff that they do for other people. April was continually serving. She's a multimillionaire. She's Richard's best friend, but she was serving us. And she was upset that something happened and she couldn't fix it. So it's all about service. And, it's the potential that April saw in Brittany, and she would not let her go. And this is what we should do with our friends and relatives and the people that we care for. I would break up a friendship with someone rather than let them go. I say, look, man, I love you and I care for you. I cannot see you go through this pain. I will not let you do this. And if it means us breaking up as friends, I'm willing to do that because I believe in you. And it's standing up for ourselves, standing up for other people. And the truth is, we are magnificent souls here to make a huge impact. And we are making an impact. This is an incredible, beautiful movement. And that is the truth.
No, thank you, brother. And the world needs even more of you. They need you at scale. They need you causing that impact at the highest of levels. And it's an honor, Anil, truly. I did not know and understand who you were. And I did not. I knew you spoke on stages, right? And I know a lot of people speak on stages that I don't believe have the ability to support people in creating change. And I'm not diminishing them, but I know a lot of people speak on stages, a lot of people, and their work is not something to be modeled and followed. Yours is, and it is an honor. And I've had so much fun getting to know you. You're a straight up lunatic. You're a crazy amount of fun, and you're a brilliant, wise soul. So love you and thank you.
Love you too. Thank you. Rob
Gill, I want you to say the 3 Ds to start out, brother.
Deletion, distortion, disruption.
Listen, I love you. And I love you this much.
Yeah.
I love you, and I'm going to lean in a serious way. You are a model and an example here. Your story is the most powerful story of acceleration that has been created here. You just are. And for fun, like just for fun for a second, before I ask you like what's present, I guarantee you, I think Rob just whispered, watch this.
No. Okay. But I leaned into it physically.
Yeah. So listen, brother, if you were at St. Anthony's playing for Coach Hurley.
I can't wait to tell that story. Go ahead.
If you were at St. Anthony's in the talent hotbed, so I'll frame it, Rob can tell it. St. Anthony's High School in Jersey City is the #1 talent hotbed, or was, because it is now complete. But when Coach Hurley was coaching there for 2 decades and more, it was the #1 talent hotbed for producing high school basketball talent championships in America, period. Not debatable, not disputable, not discussable. That is a period accepted fact and reality by the nation, not just by St. Anthony's. And Rob has an access point there, which I'll let him share. So, but Rob, if you were playing at St. Anthony's and you were going to run the play, whatever the play was, and you were just like 1 step off, would Coach Hurley confront and disrupt that?
Yeah, and then next, I would get taken out and be corrected situationally right on the spot. Yeah. Kind of what they talked about in the video today, the audio, and situational coaching at the highest level, which is what you do.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you this for fun, because we have a lot of fun with language. You are brilliant. You're one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Your ability to see, understand, dissect, and put things together is world-class. There's a circuit that's lying to you that says your ability to master precise language is off. Total BS. So I want to give you a step into, you have the absolute capability of slowing yourself down a hair and integrating perfect language. You're one of the most fluid, brilliant communicators I've ever seen. And when you say deletion, dilution, disruption, it tells everybody here that they could be super loose with their language and understanding the formula, which is just not true. and we have fun with it and have a good time with it. And I love you, but two things I want to integrate. One is that you are brilliant and capable of slowing yourself down a bit. Because brother, what are the 6 principles of persuasion from Robert Cialdini?
Commitment and consistency, reciprocity, scarcity, liking, social proof, and authority. And I also know the 10 on Unblinded in the same kind of manner.
And so there's no question you can easily say deletion, dilution, distortion.
Distortion. There it is. Yep.
No, like we're actually being serious in this moment with everybody.
Yep.
All you got to do, brother, and everybody, slow yourself down one step. Integrate it, slow yourself down, whatever the thing is, and you have it because you're one of the smartest people I ever met. So your thing is you're just going fast. So it's like, I got it. I'm close enough, right? Just one more step, slow down, integrate and go, because you are a leader of leaders in this movement. It wasn't that way at one point. It's here now. You belong, you deserve, you exemplify, you are, right? You're amazing. So I just want to say that. And then please speak into what was present for you after last night, and then share anything as it correlates to St. Anthony's.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for that, Sean. And I will work on what we just talked about, no doubt about it. I'll make it a priority, number one, and what I do on a daily basis. Last night was tremendous. I mean, everybody that already spoke about it, 100% dead on. I've never seen, I've never met anyone that owned an island. That's a new thing for me. So that's pretty cool. What was encouraging is both of the folks that own the island, or I'm sorry, the woman that owns the island, Brittany, she didn't go to Ivy League school, which I thought was tremendous. I'd like to get a stat on all the people in the world that own islands. What was their formal education? And one of the things I shared with you privately this weekend, and I've known this, but I'd like to share this to the group, is Sean represents, I want to say, multiple different type of, let's call it mature level of success, whether it's the entrepreneur that never graduated college like myself, right? Or the entrepreneur or the person that graduated, law school, number one, and was brought up in that kind of structural system. His message and what he brings resonates with everybody, not just a certain type of personality type, which I think was something I've always known, but we just kind of talked about it briefly this weekend. And that's what's so special about, to me, what's happening. So last night when I'm listening to April, by the way, tremendous story, my first thought was, she's so successful. Why is she hiding about public speaking? That was my initial thought, right? I'm taking you through it.
Yeah.
But then I realized that in order for her to do public speaking the way she wants to do it, failure is not an option, which means the level of commitment that she has to make to do that, she just wasn't ready to step into that yet. That's what I kind of concluded from that, amongst all the vulnerabilities. And by the way, I love when people cry, you know that. Yeah. I think her story was tremendous. She talked about being married to an alcoholic addict. Obviously I'm in recovery 24 years. I understand what she went through by being with someone that was not in recovery. You know what I mean? So there was so many different things going on there. And it was a powerful, powerful, powerful Monday night. One of the best one ever. Right. So that was tremendous. And I think that Sean had turned me on to the talent code. So I started listening to it for the last 2 or 3 weeks now. And yes, of course, Sean, and I'm sure you knew this, and I even texted Fernando. Now I know why I'm on the call today. Let's talk about the Miracle St. Anthony's, and I'll be very fast. 1973, Coach Bob Hurley took over the school, coached there for 40 years, accumulated over 1,000.
Before 1973, inner city, Catholic high school, nothing special or significant going on about it. Tiny school, tiny gym, hole in the wall.
I got it.
You got it, Robert. So.
Yep. So, and I want to tie this into Unblinded because this is important for me to share with all you folks. So St. Anthony has accumulated 29 state championships in 40 years, 142 Division I scholarships, not including Division II and Division III, 5 national championships, 6 first-round draft picks in the NBA. And to Sean's point, the first 25 years they practiced in a bingo hall. The school was always getting money from outside people to help keep the doors open, and there was 152 students. And yes, to Sean's point, it was inner city holes in the wall, but they were held to a higher standard. The situational coaching was insane. The ability to draw a line and make decisions and break down components and subcomponents of everything that was done was something that I was fortunate enough to witness at a very early age, because my sister married Coach Hurley's brother. So for me, I got to see, Mandy Johnson, who went to Marquette, David Rivers. This is all while I was in grammar school. Kenny Wilson, all of these great players. Bobby Hurley was my age. So growing up with Bobby, he wanted a Division I scholarship. I wanted to pay Atari. Here's the point. By the time I get to college, I'm playing Division III basketball. Bobby is at Duke. 3 years later, he's a number one. 4 years later, he's a number one draft pick in the NBA. And Rob Gill's going to rehab, right? Why is that important? Because, the last time I drank was July 1996. And from that point on is when I began a career. My first trainer before Joe Hagan was a gentleman by the name of Jay Bilstein. And Jay Bilstein was a hard-nosed teacher, trainer that resonates with me like Sean, like nobody else. And as a result of that journey, when I met Sean, the very first night I met Sean, I said to myself, Coach Hurley, point blank. So a talent hotbed is not something that shows up at the front door. A talent hotbed is something that is developed and created through constant and never-ending improvement and raising the standard. And what began to happen at St. Anthony's in the mid-'80s into the early '90s, every great player in the tri-state area used to go in the offseason and play against each other, and it just raised the level of excellence. And from that perspective, I knew right away, and this is before the word Unblinded was even created, that I was in the presence of that, and I was not going to make the mistake I made growing up where, Sean, to your point, I may have known one of the 3 Ds, being close proximity to St. Anthony's. I wasn't going to make that mistake in getting to know and who you are and what you represented and felt it internally from the very beginning. And most importantly, for anyone out there that's not there yet, struggling this and that, blind faith and understanding I was part of something bigger than myself, even then, was something that carried me through that first year with Sean. Blind faith. And by the way, I was seeking to be part of something bigger than myself. And none of this stuff was created yet. And I think that, history repeats itself. Well, it doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And success does leave clues. And it was not hard for me to identify success. Just like when Sean says I break certain things down, my challenge is to have more patience when I break it down, because sometimes I make decisions really fast.
Yeah. And so, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
No, yeah, that's it. Yep, I'm good.
Yeah. And Rob, sometimes you're just speaking quickly because you want to get so much out that you just like leave some words out and behind your identity.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not formally educated. Leave that stuff behind starting today.
Yes.
Your educational dynamic. Tony Robbins was a janitor who didn't go to college.
Yes.
And he's the most brilliant personal breakthrough person on the history of the planet, right? And didn't go to college. He learned it, trained it, coaches presidents, coaches athletes, coaches celebrities. We are here creating a talent hotbed to do the same. Like
Yes.
we're creating that talent hotbed. The standard you're adhering to is to be a person who could replicate that. We are creating Bruce Springsteen's, Tony Robbins's, Oprah Winfrey's. That's what we're creating here. We're a talent hotbed to create the future leaders of the world. That's
and for everybody on here, because I've been telling my team at Epic that they're a talent hotbed, because in 2020, every single member of our team had their best year ever.
Say that one more time, Rob.
Every single member. So I'm already creating the narrative that they're part of a talent hotbed, because every single one of my team members, not people that work for me, my team members had their best year ever. And for us in our business, it's all about reps. And the thing that we're creating is the ability for our people at Epic to talk to peak state people that are looking to be educated on financial strategies, right? And we have now created a model where we went from 6 or 7 to 15 new agents. And as a result, each and every one of these agents, the new people are starting to, Tatiana got a check. How about that? Yeah. Tatiana got a check by being connected to Epic, right? So the point I'm trying to make there is my Fabulous Five, I call them, which are my original, my unforgettables. They all had their best year ever in 2020. And 2021, because of the amount of reps each person's going to be able to get, the scale, and be able to bring their own people into those reps as well, Sean. I'm in my business, in my situational independent financial company, ours, not mine, what's being created is a perceived talent hotbed. You know, if you look in from the outside, they're going to say, wow, all the really good people go there. No, all the people there are getting trained daily. And by the way, having opportunities on a daily basis to speak to folks that are looking to be educated, which doesn't happen in my business.
Yeah. And I realized my life mission, which I said not to bury, not to squander, and to amplify the talents, final coming here. I realized that all I've ever wanted to do was replicate the talent hotbed that I grew up in. I grew up in a talent hotbed in small public high school for creating people who a talent hotbed for team, love of team, and team success. That's the talent hotbed I grew up in Emerson. We won in everything. We won in baseball, football, the girls teams won, the boys teams won. We won in everything. And that was the talent hotbed. Team, team, peak performance, ego subjugation, accepting responsibility first, not pointing the finger out there, in here first, adhering to the system. Yes, coach, no coach, living it, trusting the process. And I wanted to replicate that. And that's why I thought at one point I wanted to be a baseball and a football coach. What I realized I am fully present to now is all I wanted to do was create talent hotbeds to do something even bigger than have a team of love and all those things. I wanted to create a talent hotbed where people can control their money, time, and magic, cause other people to do the same with integrity to make the world an even greater place. That's what you're in. That's what this is in Unblinded. And that's the container of the language. Tonight, be there. Like, this is the system. Get people on board. When you go play at St. Anthony's, you got to get people on board with what your life is. Boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others. It's like on board, off board. Like, this is what it looks like and what it is. And I'm being for real now. I'm being for real. There is a process and a mechanism. My Uncle Jimmy, when he went to residency at Jules Stein at UCLA, he and my Aunt Carol were together for half an hour a week. I will bring my Aunt Carol on here to tell those stories of what they did and what they lived through and the life my uncle led. And when he died and was killed tragically in that truck accident, it was the longest lines I've ever seen to get into a funeral in my life. And he wasn't famous. And every single person talked about how he changed their life. And the articles in the newspaper, and he was from Jersey City, not far from St. Anthony's, grew up poor. And those articles in the newspaper said it was a wonderful life. And modeled the movie and told the story in the Jersey City newspapers about his life. So if that's interesting to you, you're in the right place. If you want to cause that for yourself and other people, and you love people enough to cause that in the world, you're in the right place. And I know you're in the right place because I know that's the cry of your heart. That's the cry of your soul. And that's what living life on purpose and with intention means. And that's why everybody says they want to make the world a greater place. They just don't know how. And this is the talent hotbed to do it. It is the talent hotbed to do it. That's what we have here and we're creating here, and we're not stopping. We are not stopping. And if you saw last night, tell me somebody could do that better in the world and teach you better in the world, and tell me what their name is. And I'll go learn from them, but I don't think they exist.
They can't do it organically the way you did. I'll tell you that. They have to pay for that kind of access.
No, you're in the right place, and you can do it too. Tonight on the Tuesday night call, we're going to talk about who you are. Like, we're going to identify yourself and make a decision as we roll into 2021. And we're going to talk about who are the 100 people you're going to lead. What are you causing? What is that going to look like? If you think you know what I just said, I promise you don't. If you think you know what I just said, I promise you don't. We're recreating, reframing, and creating massive acceleration, whether this is your first day in Unblinded or your 365th. This is where we are. Starter's mind, talent hotbed. We begin anew. We are taking 2021 in service and integrity of heart and love, acceleration, and monetization. Monetization is present. You can't go anywhere unless you create the monetization you want and need in this space. That's what we're here to do. Rob, love you. Anil, Diana, Fernando, Adam, we will see you tonight. And let's take it out tonight with Pat Benatar all fired up, Chaz, because there does come a time when everything falls in line, and it is the beginning. So thank you. Have a great day.